How's it going, guys? It's me, the Techie Gamer, here with another video. I'm kind of speechless right now, probably because of how amazing this build is. I mean, I remember when I uploaded my first build, and I thought that was awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was awesome, and it is awesome, but this has to be the craziest, most insane build I have ever done on this channel, or that's ever been done for that matter. Included in this build is the famous i7-5820K, as well as the X99 chipset, and on top of that we have the 980 Ti, and this also includes the optical drive and the operating system for under $1,500, guys. That includes the optical drive and the operating system. Crazy. This does not get any better than that. With that being said, keep in mind that this price may vary over time, which means that the price of the build may be over or under $1,500. However, as of today, it is actually under the price range. Also, keep in mind that the builds that I do are focused on having the best value, the most upgradability, and overclockability. But with that out of the way, guys, let's begin this epic build. Starting with this almighty processor, as I said in the beginning, as well as the title of the video, and that is the i7-5820K. Like the previous Skylake builds I made, there wasn't a whole lot of choice, mainly because of the different socket types that this is going for. Instead of the common LGA 1150 socket that most CPUs utilize, this one actually uses the LGA 2011-3 socket type. Also, there really wasn't that much question about choice because of the step up from the CPU, which is the 5930K, which is over like $102 more than the 5820K. So the step up from this was completely out of the question. But besides performance, I mainly picked this CPU rather than, say, a similar priced i7-4790K because of not only better overclocking, but also because it has 6 cores. And 6 cores, it's kind of like the max of the sweet side of gaming. It also has hyperthreading, and if you're a content creator like me, you'll definitely appreciate that feature. For the CPU cooler, I went with the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo 82.9 CFM sleeve bearing CPU cooler. So I'm not going to say that you should use this cooler for heavy overclocking, just because it mainly focuses for an average build. But for the price and the fact that it's one of the best coolers for the money, it was hard to pass up. Now before I get any comments saying, "What the heck, man? Why would you have a beast system that's meant for overclocking and not have an awesome cooler?" Okay, first off, like I said in the beginning of the video, this is about best value. Now I know that there are better coolers. I'm not saying that this one is the best. And they're probably more meant for heavy overclocking than this is. And really, I know that you should overclock this if you're getting a system like this, but this is kind of a guideline, if you must. This is exactly why I do these builds on PC Part Picker, and that's so you guys can change it to your liking. With that out of the way, on to our next part. As for the motherboard, I went with the ASRock X99 Extreme 4 ATX LGA 2011-3 motherboard. Obviously, X99 because overclocking beast, and I went with this one because of the price, as well as how many features there are. You have your standard, RAID, SLI, and Crossfire support, and 10 SATA 6 gigabytes a second, which is kind of crazy, as well as onboard USB 3.0 headers, and has a massive memory capacity of 128 gigs. I also heard a lot of good things about this motherboard. For the memory, I decided to go with some G.Skill. Again? Really? Yes, again. And that's the Ripjaws 4 series, 8 gigabytes of DDR4 2400 memory. Pretty self-explanatory. You can go with the cheap RAM as long as it's from a company you know and trust. It was cheap and also is 2400 speed memory rather than the lower end 2133. The storage may be surprising for you guys, but that's because we're on an extremely tight budget because of all this awesome stuff. I could only fit one storage. There was 3 options: an SSD, a hard drive, and a hybrid. Obviously, the SSD is kind of expensive, especially because most of us nowadays we're used to like 1 terabyte, and SSDs can get pretty expensive if you want to go up to 1 terabyte. So that was pretty much out of the question. And I know that people really want the speed of an SSD. So I decided to go with the Seagate 1 terabyte 7200 RPM hybrid. It's faster than a hard drive and as much a space as a hard drive, and it's more of an SSD usually, but it's kind of slower than an SSD. Like I said, this was hard to squeeze in. But also, like I said, you guys can change the list to your liking. Perhaps if you would rather prefer a, say, 250 gigabyte SSD. For the graphics card, I chose the MSI GTX 980 Ti. It's a cheap option, coming at an affordable $605 as of now. Sure, it's not the best 980 Ti out there, but it has a great value for what it's worth. But as for the case, I went with the Rosewill Galaxy 2 ATX mid-tower case. Not only was it a good value, but it also had some of the necessary features, such as front panel USB 3.0 ports, decent cable management, and space for bigger graphics cards, not to mention that the case looks pretty nice. Finally, for the power supply and optical drive and Windows, I went with the Rosewill 650 watt 80 plus gold certified fully modular ATX power supply, the Leaton IHDS 11804 DVD/CD drive, and of course Windows 10. Anyways guys, that about wraps it up for today's video. Let me know what you think about the build in the comments below, and subscribe to see more future builds and tech. As always, links are in the description to the part list. Anyways guys, I will see you all next time. Peace.